Welcome everybody. This is the Banner Saga. I just picked this up recently on the Steam sale. The Steam sale this past weekend, and I have to say, loving everything about this game. It's a tactical RPG, similar to something of probably most of you would know Final Fantasy Tactics. You know, they'll lay a grid down. You select the character where you can move and whatnot, and and you hit things with a stick or whatever. But the animation in this game is absolutely astonishing. Really no big complaints about this game. I have played up to about chapter 9 myself, but what I'd like to share with you guys is I might want to do a run with this as well, and start a new game up. Let's get right on into it. There aren't many options to choose from. Obviously, full screen, windowed screen. Whether you want captions on or off, I'll turn those on for people if they want to read, if they're catching along. I may throw in, I might read it myself, obviously, for those of you, and maybe throw in some weirdo bad voiceover. But there isn't much, in the way of options. There is really no customization of how to have it appear. Not that I have a problem with it, because the game looks good. But, just in case anyone was interested in that. So, we're going to restart my game. Yes, really restart. I'm not worried about my saves. So, let's get right into it. And I will say that this game is hard as nails. I'm playing on the normal difficulty, but it is quite difficult. The gods are dead. In their wake, man and giant survived through a tenuous alliance, driving black destroyers called Dredge deep into the northern wastes. Now is an era of growth and trade. Life goes on. Only one thing has stopped. The sun. So essentially, maybe I'll shut up while he talks.
It has been several long months on the road. The first signs of snowfall accost us on our approach to Strand, largest of the trade cities on the Val-human borders, and our last collection before returning to the capital. Several days ago, the sun simply came to a stop in the sky. Though during these long winter days, none of us can be certain how long it has been this way. Some of the men in the caravan have taken it as a dire omen. I am not quick to superstition, but I myself will be glad to be done with this year's rounds.
The sun has stopped in the sky. Just think of the suntan you're getting.
About
Awesome.
On the path through Ridgehorn, our road home. Our captain seems unconcerned. Perhaps he is as eager as I to be done here. We will rest here this day and inquire further when we speak to the governor.
Now this is how most of the story plays out, following a caravan of these giant Vikings called Varls, and you essentially follow them around. Obviously this man does not look amused, is what that small peasant just said. And it would appear that these men are attempting to take over this little village. Looks like we're going to stop them with our giant ways. Oh, that's going to leave a mark. Ow, my face. Oh, yeah, just send me flying 45 feet with your shield. Thank you. Appreciate it. But yeah, they jump you right into the fight here. a little bit of a tutorial, and that lasts for a little bit to explain to you all the different ways of fighting, obviously, and some strategies per se. I don't know what he said, but if anyone speaks that language, because it did not sound like English, and maybe I was just too loud talking and I didn't hear him, but regardless. So, as you can guess, it gives you an area as to where you can move around. The blue area meaning the area that he can move. You can move into these yellowish areas by spending something called willpower, and they are given willpower throughout the fight. Some have 2, 3 points, and that adds obviously to different points. So obviously it's telling me to move as close to this gentleman here. So I'm going to move into 2 spots of the yellow here with my shield banger, and went to fire him. So we can see that his health is on the right. He has 5. His shield is at a 4, and the star above him is a 6. That is his willpower. Basically all the characters are exactly the same with that, and are linked to us. So I'm going to click on him, and I can choose to attack him in strength. It shows you how much you're going to attack him for. If I chose to attack his armor, d4 2. Simple stuff. So let's check mark that. Strength counts as both health and damage, so obviously the less strength they have, also their health is done. Armor, blah blah blah. 5 strength, so I can kill him with 1 blow. Good night, sir. So you get renown. Basically, that is used to level up your characters for promotions and whatnot. It would all be explained. So after it's done, obviously you have your orders here at the bottom. So it's our chieftain's turn, and he's going to attack this rather large fellow here, and it's probably not going to do anything. Yep, thanks for the paper cut. So what our gentleman here, our Warhawk, goes on with the willpower, as I just said, going into the gold. So it used 2 willpower to move into that spot. So now we're going to pull up to these 2 unfortunate gentlemen here, and we're going to use his ability, and it's quite fun. It's called Tempest. Essentially does a counterclockwise or clockwise spin with his sword, attacking upwards of 2 people at this point in time. As he ranks up, that changes from 2 to 3 to 4. So, as it says right there, all I gotta do is confirm it on one of these unfortunate souls, with willpower, sure, and yep, that's gonna leave a mark. And when everyone is down to 1 person, it turns into a pillage, and it really doesn't follow a certain order anymore. It just sort of all hell breaks loose, essentially. So we're going to hit this poor guy with 8, and we're going to add that willpower and add 1 to it because we want him dead now. Take that. You sounded funny. And that's your first basic fight. Your renown grows. Thank you.
Like a rabid wolf, that one. How did it come to this? We fool ourselves believing that peace will last. My grandfather built all this from a poor fishing village, you know. He watched the gods die, watched the chaos that followed, watched man and var slaughter each other, even before the dreads arose. All we've done is traded one struggle for another. Now that there are no more dreads to war against, we war against ourselves. This chieftain meant to kill me, and he's not the first. 12 families in the city would gladly take my chair. This one had men waylaying merchants, both north and south of the city, strangling trade, quite well, I would add, though he denied it to his last. This sort of wolf doesn't stop biting because the head is cut off. It just grows a new head. I'm in a bad way, my friend. Help me finish this fight, and I'll gladly send you on your way with double our king's tithe. Take any men you need. They're loyal. I promise you that.
How
They will
big
meet
he is in
you
comparison
down
to
in the proving
a
grounds.
small, teeny, tiny human. These varls are huge. Chapter 1. Only the sun has stopped. God, do you think it was Jersey? Getting all those tans. You're approached by a familiar man who walks in step with you as you're leaving the Great Hall. He cuts to the chase. Eirik, steward of Strand? I manage the governor's business. Ubin, isn't it? It is. The governor tells me you'll be giving us a hand. What did you have in mind? Scalfings that you didn't hack up in the Great Hall scattered after you took out their chieftain. The governor just wants to make sure they stay down. Was hoping you'd join me at the marketplace by the docks. If there's anyone left to worry about, I know who can tell us. So again, you're going to be given a general overlay after you've been wandering around out in the frozen tundra here. Usually there would be something highlighted similar to the way the market is right there if there's another place to go. But as this is at the beginning of the game, they just want us to cut to the chase here and go to the market. So that's what we'll do. So, let me handle this. You meander through rows of open-faced houses and eroded stalls. Colored canvases flap on a briny current. One man in particular blanches as you approach. Had, I'm not in the mood today. For what? Talking to an idiot. The Scalfing's chieftain bled out about an hour ago, Had. So when you tell me when that rat's anus the rest of them crawled back into, nobody's going to try and kill you this time. I don't talk to... They don't talk to me. I don't have the patience for this. Had sweats visibly, fumbling with some dirty trinkets on his table. Wait, just buy one of these. If everybody thinks I'm getting worked over every week, how am I supposed to know much? Just a little food money, yeah? Will intimidate you. You motion to gun off your enormous bodyguard who looms over the man like a snake over a mouse. Gods, Eirik, make it on a bit heavy, don't you think? Where are the Scalfings? Nobleman, by the east wall, but that was months ago. Last I know. Had skulked away with a wave in Eric's hand, gathering things from his hovel. Disappearing for a while, this blows over your figure. Your bodyguard steps forward. Are we done here? Says Gonolf. Gonolf, were you wearing green, black, pack at the Great Hall? No, just bought him while you were walking around. Why? You look like a frog. Better than an eggplant. Gunolf goes off to look at more stalls. Eirik, that man of yours seems unreliable at best. Blind dog wouldn't trust Had, but he used to be a Scalfing. If they're licking their wounds, they've probably gone to an old haunt, not new ones. Nobleman is a meat hall? Best I can tell, the name's ironic. Listen, I know a guy who would love to put a few of these scowls in the ground. I'm going to find him. I'll meet you there. Shouldn't we have an approach of some sort? What a luxury. Come on, you've already mopped up worse today. Just make sure that the governor remembers his promise. Double the usual tithe. I'll remind him. So it looks like that old chieftain that we took care of up at the Great Hall has some a few more people lying around. So of course, any good person with absolutely no life, where are you gonna hang out? The bar. Off there we go. You arrive in front of what appears to be nobleman. A few minutes later, Eirik appears with a weather-beaten man introduced as Valgard. I'll point them out, Eirik says over the shoulder. Ready? Let's get it over with. That's the spirit, says Valgard. Okay, here we go. Valgard boots the front door open so hard it won't close again without repair. As you enter the hall, Eirik is ready at the head of a table, his axe drawn. Wide-eyed, drunken Scalfings scramble to find their own weapons, turning tables and mead steins in the process. And we'll get right into our next battle here. So at the beginning of every fight, you are actually allowed to move your characters in a position that you would prefer to start the fight in. It obviously gives you a predetermined way of fighting. These are the enemies with the red squares underneath. So I could take this gentleman and click him over here. Don't click. There we go. And move them around. essentially what you want is, you know, obviously you can tell these guys, they don't want to take too many hits, but at the same time, you know, this guy can handle willpower, but at any range, so he doesn't have to be close. And this gentleman here, yes, he's got a decent shield wall. So this guy I always find is the problem. You know, even he's a big boy, but if he gets too many people on him, you know, you can see he doesn't have a shield or anything, so he can be put down actually quite easily if you're not careful. But we'll attack this. We'll get right into her. Stone wall up in case someone comes near us. Highly doubt it. And I find most of the enemies, they like to stick together. You know, it makes it a little more difficult to do a few things. Yeah, sure, you can have my willpower. Oh. You know, sometimes you might get a couple of stragglers that will move on over, but if they're going to be silly enough to be dealt with one at a time, you know, I'll take care of them. Now, again, I could take out his health here at 4, or I could go for his armor and take 2 down away, and that would mean that the next hit I may take would maybe take more than 4. But considering I look at the way that regardless if this guy's going to attack him both times and he's only got 8 health, you know, 2 times, or he'll be done after 2 shots. You have to be careful with him. I want him to be close, not get tangled up with it, so you know, we'll play it by ear. They're not afraid to get involved, I guess, as I would say. Let's go here. Obviously use the environment to your advantage as well. You don't want to be put into a corner in any way. So, as you can tell, this area is going to be blocked off by these 2 giants here, so there's really no, you know, egress for these guys to get. So I don't mind stepping back over here with this guy to throw in an attack. And like I said, a couple blows. I could make it ridiculous and make his pain harassment. There we go. Hit him for 6. Animation's fantastic in this. Really can't say too much again and again. So we're gonna finish this poor sucker off. Yeah, hope you enjoyed your time here. And again, after every kill, we get renown. And now, we got a couple of them. So, again, I could choose to move him up here, but I'm afraid that they may just gang up on him. So what might be in my best of interest is to take him out, sure. Yeah, he hits like a truck, though. As you can see, this is definite overkill. But no, that doesn't matter to me. And I believe he took hit their adjacent tile as well. So we may have to protect our friend here a little bit more. Seven. Can I add some willpower? Oh, absolutely. Beauty. So we will kill this gentleman. Things are going very well here. I'm actually quite happy with the progress. Oh, please don't kill me. 7, 8. He's got 5. I don't know what his attack can do. No, I guess we're gonna have to move first, obviously. I think he moves, but I don't. He may get killed. Yeah, I wasn't too careful about that. Trying to think if there's a way I can block, because he's gonna go. Yeah, there's not much I can do here. I may lose him. Ah, but we can kill this gentleman here. Nicely done. So I'm hoping he doesn't. Ah! Yeah, he took him out. That sucked. but it isn't permanent death as of yet. So now we get to show off our lovely Tempest attack here. And that was it for them. One casualty, not bad. He only gets injured, and they're out for a number of days. So it tells you the promotions that they're capable of getting, the renown that you picked up over the fight, and back into the story. There they are. Gods be damned. I've got to go wash off this blood. Eric is looking off the hall's windows onto the bay. A fleet of longships approach, with sails of bold reds and blues. One banner I know well, Wagner. Next for the Carl Kingship, last we spoke. The other flag. Looks important. Yeah, important guests. See what I deal with all day long? Things make a little more sense. You'd hope I'd have a stake in saying everything's fine here when the royal guests arrived. Not me, the governor. Now I have to make sure there are no rotting bodies or pools of entrails still in the great hall before they come by. Can I ask for one more favor? What is it? If you happen to stall our guests down on the docks, I wouldn't object. Maybe I will. Eirik and Valgard hustle from the mead house. To his credit, Eirik tosses the barkeep a spar of silver for the mess. You give an apologetic shrug and go to greet the new arrivals down at the docks. So again, like I said, if anything would come up, it would be highlighted, but again, it's sort of the beginning of the game, so it just gives us the docks as the starting area. Wagner. A familiar Varl steps onto the docks. If your mind you recall a much younger version tramping the halls of Grofheim, abundant in purpose. Gods, Ubin, you're looking ancient. Comes with being old, and if there is Wagner, there must be Hakon. Must there? Still bleeding tributes from the poor and stupid old yaks? At what age do you lose a sense of shame? Gerunder demands it. I'll take that over lingering to death in Grofheim. Speaking of, I had no sense that you were so far from home. Just returned from Arberang, in fact. And glad for it. Hakon motions to the other ships in the bay, sails still fluttering, golden wolf head emblazoned on red, the king of men or someone on his behalf, the king's whelp. The king's son Ludin, don't you know, Skrevner. We visit his capital, he visit ours. It's how you make alliances these days. It's a miserable waste of time. Yes, Hakon has it, I'd almost forgotten. It's a good thing you're around, Hakon. Then you're going to Grofheim. I have a distinct feeling I've finished my business in Strand and was heading there myself. We should caravan. We should. Give it a day. In better circumstances I'd drink a week away, but, let's just be done. Find tomorrow at the gates. What he's trying to say is the prince is a delight to behold. Where is Moger? I can have him found a place to put up the warriors. I'm heading up to meet with the governor. A host of giants depart in his wake. You recognize a few others, are strangers to you. Guess I'm off to find Moger. See you in the morning, Scrivener. I'll be along. The young prince of men ambles from his ship. He brushes off his tunic, scanning the beach with low eyelids. Ludin looks for all the world the sort of boy who grew up pulling the legs from spiders. The long road back to Grofheim should be more interesting than most years, you think. Weariness suddenly settles in, and you chuckle to yourself, what an odd day it has been. One of the governor's men at the Great Hall could find you a place to sleep. On the other hand, if you're going to join Wagner's caravan tomorrow, it might not hurt to share a drink with Hakon or introduce yourself to the prince they spoke so highly of. So again, this is what I'm talking about. So you can go to the Great Hall, where it's giving you two options to speak with someone. We can speak with Hakon, who came in off the docks with the new ships, or we can speak with Ludin, the king's son. I'm going to go and speak with Hakon. Scrivener! You find Hakon in a mead house, surrounded by other Varl. Strand is no stranger to Varl, but rarely sees this many. Hakon waves you over. Went straight for a drink. Vulcan is the one who agreed to pass up a drink. I wasn't invited to the governor's hall anyway. You already missed the massacre. Every year I make the rounds collecting taxes. Every year it's the human settlements that give me trouble. No surprise. What this time? When I got here, the Great Hall was already full of bodies. We added a few more. Ha! Humans. Guess if I only lived as long as a Yox fart, I might be desperate to make something out of myself too. It's not too late to start trying hacking. Hacken lets slip a low chuckle. Any Varro could recount his deeds, known as he is for cutting a swath through Jedge at Wagner's side in the Second War, and regularly since then. Down here I'm a glorified bodyguard. You might have a point. Just another reason to get back to Grofheim. Soon enough, I imagine. You drink until the meat house becomes overbearing, then step back into the cool air outside. I guess we'll speak with Luden this time. Is this the right place? You grim. You find the prince at the inn. Guards blanket the building, including a sharp-eyed Varl, who must be working for Luden. A woman in red eventually waves you over and stands nearby, arms crossed. Greetings, Prince Luden. Yes? You're with Wagner? I don't remember you. Not exactly. I've known Wagner a long time. I'll be joining you back to Grofheim with my guards. Luden looks up for the first time. The woman doesn't react. Why? I work for the king, carrying tithes to the capital. We cross by chance. Oh, a tax collector. Fine company. What do you want? I'm just here to introduce myself. You collect taxes for the Varl territories. A true pleasure. Yes. An awkwardness hangs in the air like a thick fog. You take that as an opportunity to depart. One place left to go, the Great Hall. At dawn you're awoken by delivery of goods. At least you think it's dawn. It's so hard to tell with a sun that never moves. The governor's crest adorns the supply leathers. All there, just as promised, to your mild surprise. You wonder if Eirik had anything to do with that. Your guards take the treasure wagon down to the gates. Wagner is already here. A while later, Luden and his men appear, groggy and disheveled. Moger steps forward. Wagner's quartermaster, if you recall correctly, in charge of his unwieldy entourage of warriors. You know him only in passing. He asks if we're ready to depart. We're ready. You follow Moger and join the others. Usually the smaller doors set into the gates would have been enough to enter or leave the city. But the town guards have been told to push them open entirely. They mutter things under their breath that are best not heard. Perhaps the governor expected you to draw a crowd, but there's nothing of the sort. Just frustrated, tired people. It summarizes Strand well as a whole, you think. So essentially that's how the game will progress. You'll see that little grouping at the bottom, and it will grow much more like it has right there. And this is how it'll progress. You'll go across the frozen tundra, and you'll stop at whether it be small villages, towns, or if someone has something to speak up about. We've gone into the second day, and it gives you how many supplies you have to last, your morale, currently at great, how many fighters and Varl you have, and how much renown you've gathered over the fights. The caravan stops for the day. A gift, says Moga, cracking open mead casks, from our gracious friend the governor of Strand. Hours pass with raucous laughter as the mead is passed throughout the camp. And you're given some options as to what to do. We're going to toast to Wagner. You raise your drink, toasting the alliance between man and Varl. The others join in. Luden's expression is a stone wall, but the others laugh at your exaggerations. Eventually, you sit down beside Wagner. Let's have a chat. Thanks for the speech, Sirs Wagner. And we continue on. Looks like you didn't have to miss out after all. Thanks to Moger, I thought the damned governor would never shut up. Did he give you the history of his entire family? He tried. Then he asked me to clean up his mess. For your benefit, turns out. I'd have given the job to you too. Gods, there's no joy in politics. Speaking of, what happens after this business with Luden? Hopefully the boy goes back to Arberang on his own, and I can take out some frustration on the dredge or something. Starting to sound like hacking. You don't like the life of a diplomat? Don't you miss the fight, Ubin? Down your meat instead of replying. Volner slouches and shakes his head. There's no great joy in killing Dredge, but this, pretty sure this nonsense is some scheme between the two kings to force some kind of lineage. Used to be warriors would follow you for what you'd done. Isn't that why they follow you now? Is it? Or is it because I'm the next in line? These lines are getting muddy, old Varl. They've always been muddy, Wagner. Wagner stares into the campfire, lost in thought. You leave him to it. You rise groggily, the campsite a casualty of merriment. Mogre's already kicking the warriors awake when you spot Ludin stalking your direction. He sidesteps sleeping bodies. Better wake up, you nudge Wagner. You're needed. Ah, it's Ludin. Always a pleasure. You look well rested. Wagner releases a caged yawn and receives a hard-eyed stare in return. How long to Grofheim? Ha, we're only 2 days out of Strand, you know. Come, I'll show you on a map. Yeah, it's going to pull up a world map for you to look at, and you can bring this up at any time to see where you are in progress. You click and drag it and look at anything that may be of interest. So, you know, you got some provinces here. You can look at the small areas, highlighting everything. You know, and it's quite large. You know, there's lots to go through and lots to go into. But we'll just enjoy it. We head north, then east past the forts. Grofheim's far from Strand, going to be a long march. You should have drank last night, Ludin. Why not take the ships to Skymarstead? What's the point of marching? The Silverstone Bay is called that for a reason. It stays covered in ice all year. It would tear up the longships. Too bad, though. We could have shown you all the wonders of Skymarstead. God, I just butchered that. A half-sunken city crawling with dredge, Prince. Dredging glaciers. You like glaciers? Ludin exhales through his nose, a poor disguise for his contempt. He turns out and bats aside the tent flaps as he goes, barking at his company in the distance. Don't poke the anthill, Wagner. He seems no happier to be here than you. Spend a few more days with the boy, old friend. You'll be looking for a tall cliff to hop off to. Ludin's got a shorter wick than Hacken. Thanks, Wagner. Let's get moving. Another half-day to Vetterfall if we're lucky. So, essentially you make camp at the areas you will stop, and you know, you can pass days by resting at the tents, which will improve morale, and if anybody is injured, they will recover for that day. Training lets you fight, and so forth. But what we're going to do here, I'm going to call it after this little quick run. Gave everyone a little slight taste. I suggest you go out and you buy it on Steam. It's an awesome game. Let's support these people. Love supporting people who just make great games. But tune in again. We'll be back at this one again. Thanks for watching. As always, subscribe. Please leave comments. Tell me what I'm doing right. Tell me what I'm doing wrong. I may approach this game a little differently. I may just leave the text there and maybe fill in some commentary on my end as I play through the game, as opposed to reading what everybody says. But we'll play that by ear. Thanks again for watching, everyone. Hope you enjoyed it.